Hi and welcome to the farm. So sometimes you plan out your projects carefully and sometimes they're thrust upon you. That's the way this little girl's turn out. So this is a 2012 E-Z-GO RXV. Bought it second, maybe third hand. And it's purple because, yeah, purple. And it's orange because, yeah. And it's got tiger paws because Clemson, yeah. And it's got battery problems. When I bought it, the batteries had not one, not two, but 3 volts in them. The whole pack. 3 volts. That's right. All 3 volts. So I've reconditioned the batteries. One of them is just toast, and we'll get into that later. The others have come back remarkably well. It is still on a lead acid battery. I had planned in December to replace these batteries. As we'll get into it here in a minute, there's some wiring issues that need to be addressed. I was going to do that all at one time, but yeah. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I've switched over to the wide angle lens here so that you can get an appreciation for this cart. This, like I said, is a E-Z-GO RXV. It is a 2+2, so it came from the factory with a rear seat on it, but not this rear seat. A previous owner, and I believe it's just one previous owner, I think, replaced this with an aftermarket. This is an aftermarket brand. I believe this is a Williams, I believe it is. They're out of Anderson, South Carolina, just up the road from me. And so it's a little different. I think when they replaced the seats, and I think at that point they made it a Clemson cart for one of the kids, they did away with the roof. And this has got the 80 or 84 inch, I haven't measured it, but it's a bigger top. But I don't think that the kids ever used this. When I got it, it was convertible. It was just, didn't even have the windshield on it. They gave me the top to go with it, but it didn't fit. And so I took it over to my brother-in-law's shop and had him heat up these legs so we could bend it to bring them into the seat back, which is the only mounting point on the back of the RXV. Are these 2 posts coming out for the seat backs. That's the only thing that goes straight to the frame. Everything else is plastic. Likewise, the front up here, these 2 posts here are the only hard mounting points up front. They're the only 2 things that go down in here into the frame. When I had it over at my brother-in-law's shop, we had taken the seat off so that we could put a heat blanket over everything that was plastic so that we wouldn't set it on fire and whatnot. In the process, I noticed that this post, which is the main positive post for the pack, was just eat up with corrosion. And as you can tell from the carnage that has ensued, this is me starting to re-clean the batteries with baking soda. And of course, it gets worse before it gets better. You will notice the charging wire. There's also the charging sensor wire. I don't really understand why, but they both go back to the charger. I guess the manufacturer didn't trust the voltage of the line they were putting in, so they ran another line to the battery post, which is electrically the same thing. Regardless, it ate it completely. In fact, it's here's one of them now. Focus. There we go. Ate it slap up. So that's got to be replaced. I've been having trouble with the battery pack not holding voltage the way I thought it ought to. And it all comes down to this battery right here. This is what I told you earlier, I mentioned earlier, never did tell you specifically, but I had mentioned it in general, that there were some electrical issues that I was going to have to take care of. And that's a couple of things. One, it has a factory wiring harness on it. It even has, it's a Delphi. It has a Delphi number. I can find zero information on this wiring harness. It doesn't seem to exist as far as the internet is concerned. What I have surmised is this is a third-party light kit. Let's get you guys mobile. Hang on. It has lights, turn signals. It even has tail lights, complete with brake lights back here. So best I can tell, and it did have a radio. I've taken that out because that was garbage. Not the radio, the way it was hooked up. The radio was fairly decent. Right there, the round switch is a switch now. When I got it, it was a power port, automotive power port, what we used to call a cigarette lighter. Now it's used for 12-volt electrical devices in automobiles. Anyway, all that was hooked up directly across this one battery. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. They didn't want to spend the money to put in a voltage reducer for it. As I dug deeper into this electrical system, I thought, wait a minute. The lights aren't hooked up to that. Yeah, well, come to find out. You guys mobile again? There is a power reducer. That's a 48-volt to 12-volt power reducer. So, whoever did the conversion on it, whether that was EZGO themselves, I don't think so, maybe. Don't think they put the lights on. I think that was done in an aftermarket company. They put in a voltage reducer. They put in a wiring harness. They put in good lights. And then whoever had it before me put in the radio and that adapter port like an idiot by hooking across that one battery. Now then, I know a lot of you have done this on your own carts and you say, but it works. Well, yeah, it works. The world is littered with things that you can do but shouldn't do. This is why. The reason is because if I'm driving around, got my radio going, got my tunes going, this battery is being used more than the others. Its voltage is dropping lower. I come home at the end of the day, I plug it up, it charges the battery pack up. But my four voltages, one is low. And so they all come up, but it's still low. And as I use it the next day, it gets lower until eventually that battery's dead. It dies. It cannot come back up to voltage again because it was not kept at an even voltage with the rest of them. Now, I've always said cart manufacturers are idiots for not putting a BMS in this, because this is a multi-battery system. You should have a BMS, or battery maintenance system, for those who don't know, that monitors each individual voltage and either brings a battery down or up, depending on the way the BMS is engineered, to be in line with the other batteries in the pack. That's what keeps a Tesla working. That's what keeps my Chevy Volt working. That's what keeps a Nissan Leaf working for years and years and years, far longer than these do. Not necessarily because of chemistry, but yes, because of chemistry, but because they have a battery maintenance system. And these don't. But that does not forgive hooking up a 12-volt load across one battery when you have a 48-volt and 12-volt reducer. If you don't have one, get one. They're not that expensive. All right, rant over. Yeah, right, like my rant's ever going to actually be over. Life is just one big rant. So anyway, what am I going to do with this cart? Well, yes, I'm going to replace the batteries. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to wait till December to do it. I am going to rewire it now. I've got to take the top off anyway. Like I said, my brother-in-law heated these posts up. We bent them in place. Top-notch job. We got it. The height is perfect on it. It's level. It's square. But because he heated it up, the paint is, of course, burnt off, flaked off, whatever. I've got to take these back down and sand them and paint them. So the top's got to come off. I've got to take the body off too. The only way to redo that wiring is to redo the wiring, is to do it properly. So I bought a fuse block. It's supposed to be watertight. It's not. It might be It's pretty tight, but it's not waterproof. But it's better than what I've got. I'm going to take the body off. I'm going to mount the fuse block over next to where the battery, not the battery, the voltage reducer is. So what I'm going to do right away is top's got to come off, seat's got to come off, and I'm going to try to get the body off tonight. So I'm going to cut the video right here. This first one's going to be an intro, just introducing the golf cart to you guys, letting you know kind of what's wrong with it. The next video is going to be me breaking the golf cart down, disassembling it, and getting it ready for repair. Thanks for watching today. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, and don't forget to hit that like button. And as always, thanks for joining me on the farm.